see any option of closing my mic or my camera.
Closing your?
My mic or my camera is not. The option is gone now.
Ma'am, the option will come in the Google itself, in the Google Meet. So you have to minimize the presentation and then you have to come in Google Meet to close or close the mic, camera or mic.
But why do you want to close the mic and camera?
Ma'am, option है given me.
Don't close.
Option ही नहीं है. No, Rishabh, I'm not able to do that.
Ma'am, you are able to minimize the presentation.
No, I'm not.
So in the bar in the bottom of your screen, can you see the Google Chrome option?
Yes, I can see it. I can see it. Just let me know when do we start, okay?
Okay, we can start. It is 12:30. We'll begin with the session. Okay, so I'll just introduce you. All prepared? And we have a couple of students. You have your friends here. Okay.
Yes, I have my friend.
Namaskar, all of you. I welcome all of you on behalf of IITTM Noida to the 6th edition of Knowledge Trips. Today, we have with us Dr. Paramita Suklabedya. She is the Associate Professor at School of Tourism and Hospitality Service Management in Indira Gandhi National Open University. Dr. Paramita is an alumnus of Delhi University and Lucknow University. She is NET and JRF qualified and has her PhD in crisis management from Lucknow University. She has been on board of various committees as an expert member in tourism in CBSE for revising the existing course curriculum on travel and tourism, as well as in the AICTE on National Vocational Educational Qualification Framework for various levels in the field of tourism sector. She has authored and published many research papers at national and international tourism journals. She has co-authored various chapters in the books, edited books. She is also the PhD coordinator in the School of Tourism and Hospitality. She is coordinating the courses at School of Tourism and Hospitality. Her areas of interest are in the crisis management in tourism, tourism marketing, and special interest tourism, which includes cruise and MICE event management. She has addressed various lectures in various colleges and universities across India. And she's also a very dear friend of mine. And I feel really honored to introduce her. And the topic that she is taking today is entrepreneurship in tourism. So I welcome Dr. Paramita on behalf of IITTM Noida, and the online platform is yours, Paramita. You can begin with the session.
Thank you, ma'am. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here, and especially an honor because two of my teachers are right here. Although I am a colleague of yours now, but I can never forget that you were once my teacher. It's always a pleasure to be here. And when you were introducing me, it felt quite astonishing that you were talking about me. It just seems like yesterday that you were scolding me in the class for bunking. So It's good to be here. And Rishabh, if you can help me with the presentation, is it visible?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible. Can you please switch it to yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. It's full screen right now. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what we are going to talk about today is about entrepreneurship, but I'm more concerned about the entrepreneurship from the point of view of case studies. What we have done till now is taught the students what entrepreneurship is, what are the qualities and skills of an entrepreneur, and how entrepreneurs should be behaving, what we expect of an entrepreneur. But we have never actually let them understand how the entrepreneur has found adversity to be an opportunity and worked on it. So today I hope to present before you a few case studies which will help you understand how entrepreneurship has worked in tourism over the years. So just to give a small one-line introduction to entrepreneurship and tourism, entrepreneur is a person. It can be a group of people who come together with an idea and start something rare and new. And as we will discuss many case studies today, we will see that at times the entrepreneur was just one person, and at times it was a team which worked together. But even if a person started alone, they always needed a team to fall back on. Entrepreneurship is a process. In this process, you have to find the way you are going to start it. Investment is and funding is a very important part of this process. And what we always say that it is creativity and innovativeness. Unless and until you come up with something creative and innovative for the first time, something different, something new, then it does not go so well in the market. You have to give something little different from the rest. So it's a process and it's an action. No matter how creative you are, unless and until you act upon it, somebody else will come and act on your idea. You are not the only person who is ideating. There are many people who are coming and thinking about the same thing, the same problems. So action is a must. And then you come across with their innovative and creative product or the service product in this case. One very interesting thing about tourism is whenever we talk about tourism related businesses, we always think that entrepreneurship in tourism refers only to the areas which are confined to tourism only, hardcore tourism related businesses. But it is not so. Like I have listed three different areas of tourism related businesses. First is the conventional tourism related businesses. This would be the traditional tour operators, travel agencies. Then we have the backpackers, hotels, and guest houses. These are traditional business opportunities that are there from hospitality and tourism, which directly involve with the tourism industry. We have traditional cuisine restaurants, transport, transfer. These are the few things that we all know of. And yes, if you are going for a tourism activity, you will also be requiring certain additional services, such as if you go for fishing or angling, you will probably need a boat hire. If you go camping, then you will need a camp area and camping equipment. Similarly, if you are going for entertainment, then there would be theater group, dance groups, or some cultural events there only, which will help you unwind better. Now, there are certain unconventional tourism related businesses. Why I call them unconventional? Because these are the businesses which were not there some 10, 15 years ago. These are the tourism related businesses which we have seen grow in the last decade and a half, not more than that. Since 2000, we have seen a variety of things that have come up, and a few unconventional tourism businesses were there prior to that as well, but they were not that popular. They were exclusive. So what are these? We have the photographic safaris. I speak of the photographic safaris that are happening in India as well. And we have the walking trails, and bird watching is very, very popular these days. We have abroad, people have farm tourism and ranch tourism a lot. In India, we go more for agri-tourism and rural tourism. That is tourism related, but see, a cultural aspect has been added to it. So it's not actually conventional, but a mix of both. One more thing is the organic food. People go and travel and try out the organic farming, learn about it, come back and do it themselves. Adventure sports has come up with the different ways. We didn't hear about bungee jumping a couple of decades back, but now it is there. Like pilgrimage, everybody has heard of it from the time known and unknown. But bungee jumping, adventure tourism, something very new. But again, unconventional tourism business, but related to the core tourism area. Souvenir shops. Uh, Now we also have the traditional healers and medicines people go to Bangalore for Ayurveda. Yeah, I speak of Bangalore instead of Kerala for a particular reason. I am in Delhi, and we most of us know that we have a CM who had been coughing a lot, and he went to Bangalore twice to get treated in an Ayurvedic center. So I know of people now who say that they would like to go to this Bangalore Ayurvedic center for treatment instead of the Kerala one, thanks to the CM of Delhi. So that is free publicity for somebody, right? So that's also a sort of tourism only. If we cannot call it medical tourism, we can certainly call it one of those conventional healing tourism, right? For healing purposes. Like people also travel to Rishikesh to get their uh, yoga classes and health benefits of that, as well as down south for Iyengar yoga classes. Then we have game parks, reserves, wildlife museums, and all. These are related to tourism, but still not as conventional as tour operators and uh, this travel agents. Now, this is an area which really, really interests me. Why? Because these are the subsidiary areas which we hardly ever talk about when we say that there are opportunities of entrepreneurship. These are the areas without which tourism and hospitality cannot actually function. How can we think of a site without proper horticultural landscaping or a hotel without a proper landscaping done? So these are subsidiary opportunities which are there, but not directly related to tourism, but they support tourism as a subsidiary activity. Like I have heard of this horticulturist. Her father was with one of the hotels. It is the stories of late 80s, early 90s. Unfortunately, I was not listening to the case study very well when it was given to me, so I don't remember the person's name. But she started with providing few pots to a hotel. She used to, the hotels were getting very irritated with the pots and the potted plants, which were dying very often, and they had to change it and get it changed very repeatedly. So this lady jumps in. She starts providing the planted pots to the hotels. The hotels are happy since they don't have to take the care of the plants. The plants are changed. The pots are changed every couple of weeks. So the hotel's looks keeps on changing, and she maintains the plants for the hotel. So hotel does not have to bother with the change of plants and buying of the pots every now and then. And right now in Delhi, she is probably running one of the most successful potted plant horticulture business, supplying the plants to the hotels. So this is one of the subsidiary activities, opportunity for tourism, which we do not think of when we think of tourism, and we do not think of tourism uh, entrepreneurship related to such kind of activity. Similarly, we also have, you have heard of CGS, right? That Casino Group of Hotels, and how they have created a whole village with thatched roofs and old facade of old buildings. So, who does this thatching of roofs? Obviously, the hotel is not doing it. They are giving it out to somebody to do that thatching and the styling. So these are also related activities, including interior decoration for the hotels. At the same time, when we talk about travel agencies, somebody is printing our brochures, somebody is printing the cards for the travel agency, and in case you're getting the bills done manually, physically, and no longer you have not yet shifted completely to the digital portion, then your bills, vouchers, everything has to be printed by somebody. So that printer is also an entrepreneur who is supporting the tourism industry, and it's a business opportunity for them. So that's how there are other areas which also come up from tourism itself. Food supplier is one of the primary person who helps all the tourism activity. It is not just the restaurants and cafes which are dealing with them. Come to think of it, right now we have so many opportunities of food tourism. Let it be culinary tourism, whether it is wine tourism, whether it is food walks, whether it is food walks with photography. So where do we get all these food supplies done? Somebody has to supply them, right? So that's how food suppliers have a very important role to play in tourism and hospitality. And I will be taking up on a couple of case studies related to food suppliers later on. Similarly, you have other convenience stores and other suppliers who are all part and parcel of the tourism and hospitality services. And one part which we hardly ever discuss is garbage disposal systems. It is a time of sustainable tourism, and sustainable tourism means least amount of production of garbage, and the waste disposal system has to be uh, something which leaves very little uh, to waste for the environment. Now, let me just let me just start with a few case studies. So I'll start, although I should start with conventional tourism related businesses, but without your permission itself, because I can't hear whatever you are saying, I like to start with Taurus the truck. The simple reason for it, I love it. I love what their person has done it. This is a case study of one of these unconventional tourism businesses. Why I call it unconventional? Because neither it is a caravan nor it is a overload truck. It's a mixture of both, and it is called Taurus the truck. This was the first truck that came up. Now they have a second truck as well, and this website, as it says, it is green.expeditions.com. There are many caravan or a moving van or RVs available even in India, which are available for hire, and you can go for it and hire it. It can either be self-driven or it can be a trailer which is attached to a truck front, and somebody drives it. If there are such possibilities all over the country, mostly from the metro cities and level 2 metro cities like Bangalore, Pune, and Mumbai, they all offer you, Mumbai has a lot of them, Delhi as well. They all offer you such caravans for hire, which you can take with a group of friends. But Taurus the truck is different from them. How? In this, first and foremost, let me talk to you about this gentleman who has started this truck. So this gentleman is called Captain Suresh Sharma, and Captain Suresh Sharma was working in the army. He quit army for after 6 years of service, started traveling as a photographer, wildlife photographer. He was also in the tourism business, and he worked as a transporter, providing transport services to the tourists for a very long time. And since 1990, he has been providing transport services to the tourist. And he is also very well known in the areas of Haryana and Punjab as somebody who is a protector of snakes. He has a special affinity for reptiles, and he protects snakes. And as he says, it is not just protecting snakes, but he also protects people from snakes. So that is the background of this gentleman, Captain Suresh Sharma, who, after 36 years of experience, understood that there is a gap in tourism opportunities that are available to the tourists who want to go on an adventure. So he took up a RV and he remodeled the RV. This RV was remodeled, and I have already listed all the facilities and amenities that are given to the guests through this RV. And at one time, this RV can accommodate 8 people. I had a photograph. Yes, if you can see in this photograph, he has sleeping bags on the top as well on the sides. So at one point of time, this RV can accommodate 8 people. So after that, what is the speciality of this Taurus the truck? This he offers only vegetarian food. He is very careful about that. He is eco-conscious, so there are some listings that you have to follow if you go for him. And he runs this truck along with the team. He does not do it alone. He has wildlife photographers, wildlife experts. His wife is a homeopath doctor, and he started this because he came across this photo groups in photo tours in Africa, and he wanted to start this overland truck tours that are in Africa and India, and he realized that they had to be changed to suit the Indian ways. So these are the few tour packages that he offers right now, Rajasthan, Gujarat, and all. But initially, he was doing only Ladakh and Spiti Valley, which was very popular. The areas that he chooses to park the camp are away from the crowd and usually very much photograph friendly. And that's why he has specialized tours. I have actually shown you two photographs. There is one tour which is photography workshops on the move. In this, the photographers they travel with him, and he is probably the only one who offers these lights and the settings so that the photographers can take photographs in the evening light and different kind of lights. So he has made photo tours his primary speciality, but you also have birding tours and cycle tours. These are photographs of his birding tour, cycle group, as well as some of the photographs that are taken in his photography tours. As I said, Taurus the truck is important because he talks about sustainable tourism. He has been featured in many of the places because of that. When we talk about sustainable tourism, it means he says that whatever is earned, it should go back to the local. That's why he buys local from there. Wherever he is traveling, he buys the local food and uses that, so the local people gets any something. Does not use chemicals, not even in the toilets, uses biopits for toilets, and parks and camps in such a place that it is away from the crowd and does not disturb the local community. Interacts with the local community beforehand to make them understand that he is there. And I have listed that how he has made some of the activities so that it is um, one of its kind. Social responsibilities are taken care of. So that's the reason Taurus the truck is one of my favorites, though I have never gone for it. Probably should very soon. The way I promote him, he should give me a discount. So this is one of the tourism, unconventional tourism activity that we can talk about. Yes, something very important. If you go to the website, then you will find that this Tour as a Truck has a franchisee option for everyone right now. They are saying, which they are saying correctly, that most of the studies have shown that post COVID, people would not like to go for mass tourism. They would like to travel in a car and places where the transport interaction with other people is use transport, where interaction with other people is limited. So considering that this truck will be a very good, this RV will be a very good option, as two families or three families of friends can take it up and they can travel without interaction with any other outsider family. And they are also giving lot of sanitization options and everything. So in that way, they are saying that post COVID-19, since they will use exclusive off the track destinations, they will be very safe, which I kind of agree with. And also, they are looking for franchisees so that they can help promote each other, either book single handedly or with them. Now comes another entrepreneur who has done something which I would certainly say changing adversity to opportunity. And that would be Neha Arora, the owner and founder of Planet Abled. Planet Abled is a travel agency which caters primarily to people with physical challenges, people with disabilities. And as the story of Neha Arora goes, she was born to parents with physical challenges, physical disability. Her father was blind, sorry, her father is blind and her mother is wheelchair bound. And due to this, as I heard her speak, they could hardly ever go on any vacations or trips when she was growing up. Uh, there were two reasons for it. First, while traveling, there were not amenities, no accessibility, no amenities were available to them. And many a times when they have traveled to a place with great fear and apprehension, they have only gone there to realize that the place is not accessible and not accessible to everybody with disability, and which had actually led to more stigma. As she was talking during the interaction, she said that it was more painful because the society and the community only did not help us, rather they said इनको निकलने की जरूरत ही क्या थी. So she took it very seriously to heart, and because of this insensitivity, she started looking up when she was adult and grown up how she can make her parents travel. The idea started with getting a family vacation together, and after 2 years research, she found that such an opportunity was not available in India, where she could travel with both her parents and as a family. So after 2 years research, she left her corporate job and started Planet Abled. Planet Abled, interestingly and correctly, was given a national award by the Ministry of Tourism in 2017-18 for innovative tourism product. There are a few interesting things about it. If you look at the Planet Able logo, if you can see, I am moving my cursor here, you will see that the name is written in Braille. So I believe this is the only travel agent option I have seen ever which is used such kind of an option. Obviously, Braille can't be read on the screen. I am sure it is not. But still, it shows that they are sensitive to everybody with accessibility problems, with physical challenges of different kind. So what she says is this is unique in this way that both people with disability and without disability can travel together. So it is not just a group which is mixed up with disabled people, but it's a community which is traveling together without any stigma. And secondly, it is also not a specialized disability group in which only one kind of people with disability moves. It's a group in which people with different kind of disabilities are mixed and they move, and that is what makes them unique. And yes, this was the first time that I have actually come across an entrepreneur who has focused only on people with physical challenges, with people with disability, and created a website for them. And interestingly, wherever you go these days with for an entrepreneur, a new age entrepreneur, every new age entrepreneur talks of two things. One, how they're giving back to the society. Two, sustainability. So in her case as well, she has given two options of us to give back to the society. This is an option open to all of us. We can join her Planet Abled as a travel buddy. That is, a person with disability would require a travel buddy, and we can always volunteer as a travel buddy and help a person be more comfortable with the world as such. And obviously, she will train us before we can go as a travel buddy, because there are many things that we need to learn about different kind of disability and how to handle them. And another option that she gives is she speaks about how people with disability would love to travel, but many times hampered by expenses. So if anybody is interested, we can always donate or sorry, gift a tour to somebody who would be willing to go for a tour and disabled, unable to finance it completely. So that is Planet Abled, and my cursor is moving on a young lady holding a palette which says, "For us, disability means possibility. Travel the planet with us." That would be Neha Arora. And I also wanted to talk to you about this because we are suffering in a society where we have a concept called ableism. Ableism is where people without any physical disability are so used to being able that we do not even understand the problems that a disabled person goes through. So it is a welcome opportunity for all of us to at least consider how our ableism is affecting people with disability. Probably how we take things for granted and do not even wonder why accessibility is not available to all. Because accessibility and travel plans is not a privilege, it's a fundamental right. Now comes a case study of an entrepreneur who is also a colleague and a friend right now. She is Dr. Abhita Khawas, who has this walk around India tours, which is walk around the city tours. She specializes in two cities as of now, that is Chandigarh and Jodhpur. I know that she has also done Pondicherry, and she will take you through other cities, but only on request. You have to send the request earlier. And Chandigarh and Jodhpur are two cities that she does city walks very often. What is this? What is the reason that I have taken it up? The reason is how she has brought about this outlet of this walk around India. There are many people who want to do something different and they want to start something, but they do not know where to start from. So, as per my conversation with this entrepreneur goes, she told me that she started this city walk sometimes in 2015 and 16. And in 2016, she got in touch with an organization called Sahapedia. Sahapedia is an organization which is into promoting heritage. It is into research, conservation of heritage. It supports businesses which promote heritage preservation and conservation. It has blogs and videos which talks about heritage preservation and conservation. And uh, she approached Sahapedia, which also organizes heritage walks and city walks, and she had to submit her credentials, which was almost like an interview. And after the credentials and interaction with Sahapedia, they took her up and took her in as one of their heritage walkers and city walkers, and they started doing the marketing on her behalf. In that way, anybody who believes that they can be an entrepreneur by doing a city walk can always approach Sahapedia in case you are going for a heritage walk or some part of your walk concerns the heritage. Why I speak about this is she said something very interesting to me. She said that she picked up two cities to specialize in. One is Jodhpur, another is Chandigarh for the contrast in their heritage. She considers Jodhpur to be an old heritage, as in we have the forts and the palaces and the clothes and the colors and the cuisines. And at the other hand, we have Chandigarh, which is a pretty modern city, but the way it has been built, the museum that it has been the created, the capital and all, it is a modern heritage, and in that way, it is also a heritage which needs to be promoted, talked about, and conserved and preserved. So, whether it is a heritage of bygone era or a heritage which is considerably modern, both are heritage and we need to take care of it. So that is her take on it, and I quite understand where she is coming from. So Sahapedia is the one which helps you by talking about your walks and promoting it and marketing it through various social media. There is also a website called insider.in. In insider.in, they mention all the events, and in all the events, you can put up your walk and any other activity that you would like to take as one man or one woman entrepreneur, and you can get your clientele from there. Along with Sahapedia, the other organization that helped her in getting her company on the ground, off the ground, whatever, is Intact India. Intact, we all know, is into conservation, in preservation of Indian heritage. It's it's an organization which supports young entrepreneurs into um, who are into heritage management. And Intech India was the one which gave her a lot of walks which were related to heritage, and that's how she got a large amount of clientele from India. Along with that, she was also promoting her walk around India on social media like Facebook and Instagram. She still does it through that. Though she told me that COVID-19 has completely made any kind of walk around India tours impossible since we cannot walk around, obviously. After 2016, it took her 2 years to settle herself and get her company registered with a domain name and a website. And she had two full-time employees till March 2020, but now she has two part-time employees with her. And two very interesting and important things happened due to her walk around India. One, she got a client who has the magazine called Open House Magazine in Europe, which talks about tourism, travel, as well as architecture. And her walk around India was featured in Open House Magazine last year because the editor, had come to Chandigarh and she had taken him for a walk, and it was well appreciated and mentioned in this magazine. Since then, she is getting a steady flow of clients from Europe who come here with the word of mouth knowledge of her company through Open House magazine. At the same time, because of the interest of architects in Chandigarh, she gets a flow of architects from Spain and France who visit Chandigarh, and it's again all a word of mouth. And as of now, although the city walks are not happening, but she has lots of work with these clients who are fixing a fixed route of itinerary for the walks in different cities of the country, since they are waiting for the COVID lockdown to move, and then the architects will come and take walks in various cities of the country. So she is fixing that up along with books and publications for the architects and the people of who are more interested in this kind of activity. So, in this kind of activity, I mean city tours and heritage walks. So, in this way, she is an entrepreneur whom we have seen grow in the last 5 years. Along with that, we also have another entrepreneur who is very interesting because it is not bucket list, it is called bucket my list. So, what is interesting about this is they are only targeting people over 50. They are only targeting exclusive platform only for senior citizens. No, not senior citizens. People who are aged about 50. So we have the concept of grey tourism. We have seen a lot of grey tourists coming in from Japan as well, and they travel a lot. But in India, they are the one who are actually concentrating on 50 plus clientele. Yes, I like to mention here that Planet Abled says that it is an accessible base for all kind of tourists. So they consider senior citizens also as citizens who need more effort in accessibility. So senior citizens are also a part of their accessible group. But in this case of Bucket My List, they are only targeting people who are 50 plus. So again, it is a question of adversity which was turned into opportunity. The adversity being this founder, she was trying to find a group in which her parents could travel, and she could not join them. That's why she wanted a group in which her parents could travel without any problem and hassle, and she was not satisfied with any of the travel agents available. That's the reason, because they were giving a package tour in which there were around 20, 30 people, and she felt that it was not what was needed for her 50 plus parents. So that led to the coming up with this specialized Bucket My List travel agency, which prepares tour packages to celebrate any milestone like anniversary, birthdays, even retirement, and they customize it to include family, or just the senior citizens, or just 50 plus couple with activities. It can also be a 50 plus single solo traveler. uh, why it is important here to talk about 50 plus and senior citizens separately is there are certain activities which may not be possible for the senior citizens to partake in, which might be possible for a 50 plus tourist to take part in. But at the same time, if a 50 plus tourist is having health issues, then he or she may not be able to take part in certain activities which a healthy senior citizen might be able to. So they have to understand the mix and match of the group and then do it. One of the important factors that Bucket My List promotes about themselves is that they travel in small groups, minimum of 8 and maximum of 16, so that the group is manageable and the escort is able to handle all of them together. So this Bucket My List is one, and Planet Abled. These are the two travel agents which I think and believe come under the group of conventional tourism product or the conventional tourism services that we give. Now this is a organization which gives you unique destinations, as in destinations which are away from the humdrum of the main city. And why we are talking about this here, I find something very interesting about this organization. I have been going through many websites of many travel agents, tour operators, hospitality bodies, but I have not come across the preparedness of hotels like Rare Destinations have mentioned about their hotels. All the websites have a disclaimer or which mentions that we are taking precautions for COVID. The social distancing will be maintained, sanitization will be maintained, but nobody speaks of it as clearly as Rare Destinations does. So Rare Destination is an uh, company which was started by Shobha Mohan. She was from the travel industry, and she started this with the aim of bringing together some exclusive places for people. And this many of these were just not just exclusive but also luxury destinations. So this were meant for special needs of people like wildlife lovers or filmmakers, at times adventure seekers. So they each have a different criteria and uh, way of doing it. I think I have their website in which I have mentioned the website everywhere. No, I don't have it. I have the other one. Okay. So, Rare Destination is another one which was started almost 2 decades back because Shobha Mohan had a lot of experience prior to starting Rare Destinations. It started with one cottage in Bandhavgarh, and now they have got a list of places all over the country, including Assam and Sikkim, Ladakh, every place in the country, Kerala. They have got lots of properties in Kerala and nearby Trivandrum and Kochi. They have lots of properties there, near Bangalore as well. So, Rare Destination talks about giving something which is unique and not easily available in all the chain hotels across the country. Yes, now we come to the unconventional tourism entrepreneur who has come up with something different. This is called Samilan Shetty's Butterfly Park. And interestingly, this butterfly, which is there in this, is also a butterfly that is visible in one of the photographs of her site. You can click Samilan Shetty's Butterfly Park, and it will be visible to you. And she has more than 400 varieties of butterfly. The park is a non-commercial private property. It is not state run. It is run completely by this lady who wants to protect the park and the butterflies. and creates the environment for butterflies to be there. And the park is open only on Sundays to public, general public, since it is a conservation area and not a tourist destination per se. And this one is park uses this opportunity to teach students and children and everybody, every visitor about conservation, about butterflies, how the pupa grows, eggs, and all those caterpillars and all those process through lectures and PPTs and videos. It is told to the um, visitors, and they also have photography sessions. And I actually have their website here with me, since I thought I will share it with you here. Yes, Rishabh, is it visible?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Okay.
Can you
So
please
this
share
is,
full
yeah,
screen once?
it is full screen.
You are trying to show the website?
Yeah, I'm trying to show the website.
No, no, no. You have to share the website. We can only see your PPT.
Okay, okay. I was trying to show the website. Do I have to come out of the PPT to show it?
Yes.
So
Okay,
you have
then
an option in present now that you want to share a link.
never mind. Let me go with my PPT.
You can
Later
share
on, I
it
can
with
show
me.
you.
I will present it here.
It's there. You can just type Samilan Shetty's Butterfly Park. You will just find it on Google.
1 minute. 1 minute.
Never mind. I guess anybody interested can look through it later on. The only reason I wanted to show it was this butterfly, which is shown here in the logo of the park, is the same butterfly whose photographs are there on the website. A lot, many of them. So you can understand that it is actually a protection area, conservation area, and not a place for tourist activities per se. But now it is open to tourists and the visitors. So it's one of the side options of it. Now, this is the subsidiary that we were talking about, how the subsidiaries work in tourism and how they help us in the tourism business. This is one very interesting story of Flanders Dairy Product, that is by Sunil Bhu. Sunil Bhu is a person who was a student of IHM Pusa. That's the reason I was talking about him, and I found it interesting. So Sunil Bhu started joining this Pusa organization since his two elder sisters were also there. So he joined, and he did not complete it because he did not want to work for anybody. So he didn't go for the internship. He did not have a degree, but nevertheless, he went to Belgium because he wanted to learn about cheese making. Uh, One of his friends was from Belgium, and since cheese making was a thing that he was interested in, so in 1985 he decided to go to Belgium for cheese making, and he stayed in Belgium uh, with the option of going and working with the farm. But when he reached there, this staying in the farm that he had planned to did not work out. So he ended up going and working in a nearby farm, which was run by somebody else, but worked just as fun for him. So he started working with this other farm, and the other farm gentleman told him that we can uh, uh, ask you to come and stay with us, but you will have to pick up the weeds, not the cheese making, but the weeds. He agreed, and he went and started working for this other farm in Belgium, and this place was Flanders, this district. So when he started working there, then this owner of the farm, Mark, he wanted to start with his cheese products. So he and Sunil Bhu, they went to a person a little farther away, and they started learning how to make the cheese. And Sunil was one of the, Mr. Bhu was one of the persons who was also they are learning the process of cheese making with him, and he says that it was very lucky. But what his interviews have been talking about, one of the important things that has come up from his interview was he said that I was at the right place at the right time. So cheese making is a thing that is passed on from generation to generation. It's a family business. People do not share the secrets. But I was there at the right place at the right time, and Mark was learning from the other person. And this he also started learning from Mark, and that's how he learned about cheese making. And over a period of time, after 2 years, he returned back to India. And once he returned back to India, he wanted to start making cheese. His parents were running a restaurant, but he didn't want to just run the restaurant. And in his words, he wanted to prepare and make cheese just to tell his family that what he had been doing for 2 years in Belgium, that he learned something. And the funny story goes that for him to make cheese, he needed good quality of milk. That's why his family in GK got him GK is a place in Delhi. They got him a cow. So the cow was tied behind his house in GK, and like people have dogs, he had a cow in the house, and he was using the milk of the cow. He was milking the cow, which was he was used to, and he was preparing the cheese using that at his home. And the cheese pressing was done by keeping the cheese below his bed. So he had no machinery, nothing. And it seems that during that period of time, one of his friends saw the cheese, took him to a store, and the store person said that I will buy the cheese balls from you, provided you make 90 cheese balls from me, some 50 or some cheese balls to me. And in the late 80s, he was selling these cheese balls for 90 each, which he thought was pretty good, but very tiresome because he did not have that kind of equipment to do it. Furthermore, this Sunil Bhu then started moving, and he moved from that place to a farm. Right now, the farm is in Gurgaon. In between, he went to Italy, and in Italy, he stayed at a place for 3 months to learn about the preparation of mozzarella cheese, and learned how to make mozzarella cheese and few other Italian cheese. And again, the people did not share the information, but he went and he spoke to the owner there. The owner was very happy to know that he wanted to learn, and the owner was even more happy because he himself had started like that in preparing the cheese. And from there, he brought back a lot of equipments, and his business just grew. And now there are a few more interesting things that comes out of it. One was that when he started working here, he realized that he needs more cow. So he got more cows, and he started looking after the cows. And then at one point of time, he realized that he was spending 75% of his time on the farm on looking after the cows, and only 25% on making the cheese. So one fine day, he just gave away the cows and decided to buy milk to make the cheese. And that was the first thing he decided. Secondly, he understood that his core capability was preparing the cheese, different kind of cheese. Marketing and distribution was not his core capacity or his uh, skill set. So he gave away the marketing and distribution to a different organization altogether. Right now, this cheese is sent all over the country, and a retail store is there in Delhi. It is called Cheese Ball, from where one can buy the cheese. Similarly, there are certain cheese farms all over the country. A couple of them are there in down south, including Auroville and one in Chennai, and they offer you opportunity to come and visit them and stay with them, and while they prepare the cheese and all. It's not just a process of cheese making. Now it is also a tourism activity where the tourists come and stay there and watch and experience the process, because it is now the time of experiential tourism and not just observation. So there are some interest. As of now, he not does not make only one type of cheese. He prepares a lot of varieties of cheese. I have mentioned a few of them, and I have also given the website of each person whom I'm speaking of. If anybody is interested in knowing more about them, they can always go back and check it. And the one very interesting thing you can see in the logo, it says since 1994. For a very long time, he did not believe that he has an organization till his one day he realized that his turnover was 25 lakhs some 10-15 years ago, and then he realized that yeah, he is really growing. And if you check the logo, there is one cow. So this is the first cow that he had. That is the logo which speaks of his first cow. And there is some very interesting thing that we can come out of this case study that we can decide on. There are three things that I could understand. You have to be somebody who is willing to take risks. When he left his studies, he went to do something that nobody had done before in his family. He went to a completely alien country, tried to do all this stuff. So that is a risk taking behavior has to be there. You have to do it. Second, you cannot start anything without your knowledge and information and experience. So the knowledge does not mean education per se with a degree. Knowledge means you have to know more about what you are planning to do. You have to gather all the information. When you check any of these entrepreneurs that I have spoken of till now, nobody started their work without any experience in the industry or information gathering or research. None of them did any of this activity. One fine day they did not wake up and decide I will start producing cheese or I'll start making tour packages or I'll start driving a caravan. No, they all collected information and all. So that is the second thing, that it is not just that you have to learn to take risk. Along with risk, you need to have education and information. And the most important thing that successful needs to understand what are his or her core competency. Flanders Dairy product is doing very well, probably because very early in the day, Sunil Gu understood that his core competency is preparing very good cheese. His core competency is not in milking the cows or in marketing and distribution of the cheese. So he concentrated on his core competency, where he gave away or delegated the other work which was important for the business but not for his core competency. Why are we talking about a dairy product in tourism? We are talking about it because this is the dairy product which is used in most of the hotels to serve the tourists, most of the hotels to serve the guests. His is the dairy product which is used by pastry chefs. So his cheese are used by pastry chefs, by restaurants, by cafes, and by expats. They are buying it. So he has this role of a subsidiary, allied service provider to the tourism industry. That is the reason we are talking about him today here. We have few other ventures, but I am sure I'm running out of time. I'll just talk about them in just two lines. This collar folks is something very interesting. This again, somebody who has turned adversity to opportunity. They wanted to travel with their pet, they could not. So now they have a, because the flights were expensive, they did not want to put their dog in a cargo. Train was not possible because the dog needs time to walk. Cars were not willing to travel. So, Collar folks started their own travel agency in which they help you plan your travel with your pet, whether a dog or a cat or whatever pet you have. They will give you driving services to whichever destination you want to go to. Plus, not only travel plans, they will also help you find a hotel or a residence where pet will be available and welcome. Pet services will be available and welcome for you. Plus, wherever you travel, they will also ensure that you get vet facilities for your pet. So they are ensuring all those things. Right now, I believe due to the COVID, they are not available to take calls. But Caller Fox is one of the ventures which talks about how we can talk about it, go about our ideas. Saguna Bagh is there in Maharashtra near Karjat. It is not a resort per se. It was initially run by one of the scientists who is doing a study on this rice varieties, and they have cultivated many forms of rice. But right now, Saguna Bagh is a place where you get to enjoy rural activities. You can go fishing, you can go bullock cart riding, you can go uh, and stay in a hut in a pond. You can go for uh, kayaking, you can go for swimming, you can have your sugarcane juice done by a manual squeezer. So Saguna Bagh gives you an experience of a resort of a rural outback. It is not exactly rural tourism, but it is, of course, community tourism because uh, they have involved the people in the village in offering the services to the tourists. Right from the security personnel at the gate to the person who cooks in the canteen that offers you food, everybody is from that village who participates in this Saguna Bagh activities. So in this way, this is again uh, unconventional sort of tourism product that is available. Duck Farm is a farm that is in Gurgaon. I am not talking about it much because lately it is getting a lot of bad reviews. But the duck farm is interesting because you can get to visit it. It is run by Robert Lambor. I am not able to pronounce his name. My apologies. And he started by, again, he wanted duck meat, being French, and he could not get it. So he started getting the ducks, and now he supplies ducks and other kind of exclusive poultry meat like turkey, partridge, and all to different hotels as well as expats all over NCR. So in this way, again, we have somebody who has started a business which is both for tourism purposes as well as for his own understanding of it. Roots Ladakh is a company which is run by uh, a team of two people who not only are promoting Ladakh, but they are also doing it in a very sustainable manner, and they are also coordinating with other like-minded people to offer education to the people in and around Ladakh as well as in Goa. So these are the few ventures. There are many such ventures which are first timers. Most of them, the ventures that I've spoken about, Planet Able started in January 2016. Uh, Collar Folk started only a few years back, I think 16, 17. Walk Around started in 2016. Uh, Taurus the the truck started building in 2010. It was only a couple of years later that it became so popular and famous. So these are all new ventures that has happened in the last decade. It has not gone more than that. So it is all about our perspective of what opportunities we see and we work on. There was some queries on from a few people who said that now that the COVID is going on, what are the areas that we can actually work on? How can we work on new areas? Whether it is COVID or not, there are few areas that we can always work on. One of these areas is I told you that I came across that braille writing of Planet Able. I have been traveling around, but I have seen this kind of braille writing only in Taj Mahal, where a direction was given uh, in the information booth about in braille about where to go and what. That was the only place I have seen braille writing. I have seen audios for people who cannot, uh, who do not want to take a guide. I have seen people with uh, guides who uses sign movements to help you understand what is happening. But I have not seen many guide books in Braille. So if somebody is looking for an idea to help start something for giving something back to the society, so probably this is one area they can start working on. Uh, some small pamphlets, brochures, booklets in Braille for people who travel. Uh, in case of post-COVID tourism industry, it has been told again and again that people will not probably go or prefer to go for international travel. So travel will be restricted by traveling by car, own transportation. So there is an opportunity in which we can probably start a car service which has got sanitization marking or proof or something. If we cannot start a transportation service which provides sanitized vehicles, then probably we can start a sanitization process in which we can use the sanitization process to sanitize vehicles, because most of the vehicles, whether it is Uber, Ola, or Zoom car, any car, they would require more sanitization than before. So probably there's an option of subsidiaries, allied services coming up which would need sanitization of vehicles. That is one area one can look into. Recently, I came across a video. In this video, a group of people from Inside Out were traveling from various hotels, five-star hotels in the US, and checking out the same room, whether the bed sheets and the towels and the pillow covers had been changed. They used to leave a mark on the bed and the pillow cover in invisible ink, and next day take the same room and check whether the bed sheets and pillow covers have been changed or not. Uh, so it goes to show that in many of the cases the hotels had not changed it. Only the towels were being changed regularly. So it goes to show that people have a distrust about the hygiene that is being given in the hotels. So somebody needs to come up with a certification, marking, some type of collaboration with the government probably, which satisfies the tourists that this hotel is safe and hygienic enough for us to travel to. That is one thing we can do. Yes, COVID-19 may not have been very good for most of the travel industry, but you check Instagram, you check Facebook, any of the social media groups, you will find that COVID-19 has been, this lockdown period has been a boom period for home caterers. People who wanted to start their business from home, they are doing it now. Most of them are weekend workers, weekend cooks, weekend chefs, and they offer you variety of produce over the weekend. And there is like food Insar and Ghar Ki Dawat and so many such groups which are doing it. Bake for you, many such people have come up and they're all catering from their home. So the business of home caterers have actually boomed during this lockdown when people are not able to go out and eat, and they're also very wary about the place from where the food is coming from. So getting it from another home which is safe and in a safe zone is very important. Now, what are the tourism industry post COVID? Most probably, we will look for less interaction with our service providers, keep a distance. So, service providers need to come up with a way, app to which people can check in, check out of the hotels, get digital vouchers, make the payments digitally. We already have Paytm and NEFT, but nevertheless, smaller payments. Uh, this has to be there. One more uh, area that most of the experts are talking about is that people will prefer to stay at one place instead of roam about a lot of areas. So they will probably go to one exclusive exotic place and have a stay vacation there, enjoy the nature and come back without interacting with many other people. So that are the like rare destinations, right? So those are the places which need more promotion, and in case anybody has such property, then probably they can also develop it for more. Uh, we have to be more flexible. If people are not able to travel, we have to give them a chance to cancel their booking and postpone it. Like there are some travel groups which are advertising that buy the tour now, travel later after September. Buy the tour now, travel in the next 6 months. So they are pushing. It is earlier it was like travel now, pay later. Now it has come to pay now, travel later. So this different kind of flexibilities have to be thought of by entrepreneurs to come up with more ideas. And yes, there is UNWTO had a contest, healing solutions. Unfortunately, there was nothing from India that featured on the list. there was two very interesting apps that got featured. One interesting app was about occupancy. So, and the number of people in a store, in a place, that app will tell you, the store owner, how many people are there in the store. So if you are traveling and you have a group of tourists, you want to visit a place, a restaurant, or a souvenir shop, the app will tell the store owner whether you should enter the store or not, because the maximum number of people in the store will be limited from now on. So that app is there, occupancy one. Yes, ma'am. I'm just shutting it off, closing it down. And the other one is app which is coming up, in which the hotels will be giving their check-in form to the clients through phone. This is something that in India also we need to look into, coming up with digital solutions for the COVID-19, post-COVID-19 tourism industry. And I have already got my warning twice. I hope you had an interesting session. And if you have any questions, I'm here for that. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Paramita, for apprising us with how adversities can be actually converted into opportunities through these case studies that you have discussed with us. I'll ask the participants, if you have any questions, you can please write it down in the chat box. Any questions, the participants? Please write it down in the chat box. Okay.
I think everybody is very happy to say thank you. Let's move on.
Okay. So once again, I will be thanking you for this lovely session that you have taken. And I hope that the participants, my dear friends, my colleagues, my students, there has been a good learning through this session, as Dr. Paramita has actually given us about how we should actually identify our core competencies, as well as how we can convert these adversities into opportunities. And yes, we can have our own venture and business, that too in times of COVID as well. So thank you so much for bringing out these case studies and informing the participants about the opportunities that are there in the dynamic travel and tourism industry. Thank you so much.
Just a moment, ma'am. Mandeep, I'll speak to you later. I saw the question, ma'am, my student. Mandeep, I'll speak to you later.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all. Thank you, Paramita.
Thank you all for patient hearing. Thanks a lot.
Okay, namaskar to all of you.
Thank you, Shashank.